so good to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I know that you shared with me that you have been through a very dark place in depression, going through depression. And I'm very curious to know how you broke through this, this feeling and how you are, so together right now.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking that question. And often we're afraid to talk about depression and mental health. There's a lot of stigma around it. And I think it's really important to talk and to share with each other. So thanks for talking about this with me. So for me, it really, as a coach, we end up being pretty self-aware people. It's just a natural thing that we have. We can't turn it off. We end up being really curious. And when this was happening to me, I was working in a job that really demanded a lot of me, and I kept noticing that I didn't feel myself, and I just felt kind of lost every day. But it was a brand new job, and it was a career change. So I thought maybe it's just a lot of the newness of things, right? When we've changed, it's very natural to have these feelings of uncertainty and feeling a little lost as we're trying to kind of clamor our way through the muddiness. And uh, eventually I got to a point where it got scary, right? And I'll leave out the nitty gritty details of that. I'm sure you can paint that picture, but it got really scary. And I decided that I didn't need to do that alone anymore. And I think that was really when it shifted for me. Um, I I decided to actually share with the HR department that I was working with, because at first I felt like it was related to work and some of the stresses that were there. So I wanted to talk with them and learn a little bit more about what resources were available to me. And they did connect me with the employee assistance program that they offered to their employees. And so I reached out to them and ended up getting connected with a number of free therapy sessions. And so I had met with the therapist the first time and really just kind of, I talked probably the whole entire hour. I don't think the therapist got a word in edgewise. And really, I'd been through a lot of changes in the year or so leading up to that point. And at the end, she said, you've been through so many changes in 1 year. You've moved to a place you know nobody. You started a new job. You're just all these different things. You're trying to navigate it, and you're trying to do it on your own. So it makes sense that you're feeling the way that you are, and just that validation alone felt really, really good. And as a result of that therapy session, for some reason, I felt unsafe, not unsafe, but I just didn't want to admit to anybody else that I was dealing with this. But I came home that night and I shared with my husband that I was really struggling. And when I was able to share that with him without being worried about what he would think, or that, I was weak, or I couldn't hack it, right? Like, here we are, like, coming from Pennsylvania across the Wild West to Colorado, trying to make it. It felt really good to share that with him and be super vulnerable. And my husband and I have a great relationship, right? Of course he was going to be okay with that, of course. But when you're in those dark times, you go down dark holes, and it's hard to claw your way out of those dark holes. And so really was reaching out to others. I then I did end up going to a doctor and talked about some medication options to see if that was appropriate for where I was in my situation. And we decided to go with a treatment plan and see how that would work. And really the thing that helped me the most was the therapy. And I reached out to other coaches and had some more open conversations at work to identify sort of what some strategies could be to help mitigate some of the stressors that were going on. And we were all really stressed because it was a really, really busy, crazy, chaotic time. And so for me, it was remembering that the depression isn't me, right? Like, it didn't define me. It wasn't who I was. There are people in my family that struggle with this, and I know friends that struggle with very, very persistent mental health issues. But for me, this was a first. And so I think because it was a first for me, it was really more scary, I think, than somebody that knows what to expect. And over time, some things within my own sort of just clarity began to shift, and I recognized that some of this was environmental stressors. Some of it was me not taking care of the physiological needs that I should have been. I wasn't sleeping very effectively because of my varying work schedule. I wasn't eating really well because of the things with my work schedule, right? There was a lot of things, and that was a common denominator there. And so as I started to really better address those things, it all kind of started coming back into play. And I started to feel more like myself. And I mean, gosh, that just that feeling of hopefulness in and of itself is so powerful. And just actually a couple weeks ago, I came across, I don't know, something on Facebook or one of the social media sites, and it had the word hope, and each letter had something under it. And it resonated so much with me. And so I'll share it. It said, hold on, pain ends.
Oh my God, I
Isn't
love
that beautiful? Yeah.
on pain ends. Allison, I love where you're sharing with us. That's so meaningful.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people they're facing the same situation that you are facing. They don't know. The tendency is to really crawl into a hole and be, feeling defeated and not doing anything. But I think that what you said about looking for resources, look for what's there, that people that can help you, because there are resources available. And I love that you said that when you went for treatment, that the things that you mostly cherished that was really good for you was that you had challenges and changes, and then people were validating those challenges and changes that you went through. Because most of us, I think that being heard is something that we all need, and it's the first fast action for healing, to really feel heard and validated, right? And then you felt through therapy and the coaches that helped you. So that's one message that we have right there, is that for people that are feeling blah, feeling like defeated, don't be alone. You have support, and reach for those support. And I really love what you said, like depression isn't me. So that brought you to understand that I'm not depressed. This is not me. So you treat it as something that's out of you. So it's their depression, right? I often see that when we go through illness or diseases or stuff, people tend to say, "Oh, that's my ulcer, my gastrite, or my cancer." Like you attach to that as if it was yours. And I like to say, like, it's the cancer, whatever it is. So the depression. So and then that's what you did. You totally, you detach it from that thing is not you. I love that the thing that you said, like the self-care, because what you're going through was a lot for you because of the change that were happening in your life, that you're difficult to cope. So changing in the environment, living, right, changes of job, and then physiological change that had attention. When I love the hope. Hope.
Isn't that beautiful?
Pain ends.
Hold on.
So tell me this. If what is your favorite quote? Do you have something you like to wrap up and leave us?
The word favorite is so limiting to me.
I know, right? Because we have so many. Oh, but you know what? Of today, your favorite of today. Yes.
Quote. I literally just came across it this morning, and I thought, wow, this is a good one for today. So I'm going to read it because I don't have it memorized. I wrote it down, but it says, when you follow your bliss, doors will open where you would not have thought there were doors, and the world will step in and help. And that's by Joseph Campbell.
That's so beautiful. It's profound.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too.
All right, Addison. Thank you so much for this opportunity to, that you're sharing your story, for being open. This is very nice. I hope somebody that's listening to this knows that, there is light at the other side, You know, also the other side of fear is love. I love to say that too. And by the way, I also love what I saw in your Facebook page.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. What would you do if you were not afraid?
Right. Namaste.
Thank you.